Today we're getting into the latest Tesla news, including Tesla's latest acquisition, Tesla's free service launching in California later this year, Model Y deliveries well underway, and more, so let's get into it. First up today, when it comes to Tesla, they love to vertically integrate, and they also like to do things in-house. They like to develop technologies in-house as much as they can, so that they can ultimately lower the cost of their product down the line. However, they are not above acquiring other companies, and they've done this a number of times in the past. Some of the big ones we've heard of are SolarCity, which has now become Tesla Solar, and then Wifarian, who is a German company specifically working on wireless charging technology, which we'll actually talk about later in this video, because it's coming to the Cybercab. Now, Tesla has announced another acquisition, this time of the German company Manz AG. They're a German supplier that specializes in automation, but they're currently entering insolvency. So, a subsidiary of Tesla, Tesla Automation, has made a purchase bid to acquire all of their movable assets, as well as 300 of their employees. Their previous operations will not continue after this, and then the employees will likely move over to Tesla, at least a lot of them. The managing director of Tesla Automation said, quote, "We are gaining qualified employees with a high level of expertise in high-tech mechanical engineering. Their site is an ideal complement to the continued successful implementation of our global automation projects in the Tesla Group. We're very pleased to be realizing future innovations there." This purchase right now is not official, and it's still undergoing governmental review, so it needs approval there, but it does seem very likely to go through, and it will be very interesting to see what this actually becomes. I'm curious what changes Tesla may actually make as a result of this particular partnership. Tesla loves automation, especially when it comes to manufacturing, so that's likely where this is going to be implemented, and I'm curious what exactly they like about this company that they want to implement in the future. Either way, it's the latest acquisition from Tesla that we're seeing, and we'll see where this goes into the near future. On the other side of things is Tesla partnering with a company, and the latest one there is very interesting, Tesla partnering with Steak 'n Shake. Tesla Superchargers are all around the world, but a lot of times you're sitting there for a little bit of time, so you want these located next to restrooms and places to eat. Well, Steak 'n Shake and Tesla have announced a partnership for supercharger installs. So far, they have 6 sites with finalized plans, and they have 20 plus in review currently for superchargers to be at Steak 'n Shake locations. But they're looking to expand this even further with up to 100 new superchargers at their locations across the United States. This seems to be a pretty good idea for a lot of restaurants because the restaurants get more foot traffic, and Tesla actually puts superchargers where there are accommodations for customers who are charging there. For the most part, Steak 'n Shakes are on the eastern half of the United States, so we won't see too many of them over on our side, for me in California, but it's a great partnership nonetheless. I'm curious to see where things would go for future partnerships with other companies, especially when we see this come to be. For now, though, Tesla is working on their own diner, and that is expected to open sometime soon in California. That's definitely a fun project, and we'll see how well that goes, if it ends up being just kind of a one-off cool thing for Tesla to build, or if they actually expand beyond that. Next up today, we have a lot of updates for the Cybercab and Tesla's robotaxi service in particular that are very interesting this week. First up, many Cybercabs have been spotted doing testing at Giga Texas, and they have a few differences this time around. Joe Tegmeyer is always flying drones around Giga Texas with Tesla's permission, and he's been noticing lately that Tesla is out testing the Cybercab a lot on their own private roads. Of course, they need to be doing this because they're hoping to launch the service in Austin in June of this year. Maybe it will be with the Cybercabs themselves, or maybe with other Tesla robotaxis. He said that these vehicles are spread out across the factory and estimates that they have at least 5 of them testing all at the same time. Of course, one big feature of the Cybercab is how cool those wheels look, but in reality, those are just wheel covers, so this time around we're seeing a lot of Cybercabs testing without wheel covers on. Underneath, they're pretty basic wheels, so likely in the future we're going to more so see those with the covers on, but it's interesting to see it with the covers off. This does give us a great look at that wheel setup where the back wheels are much larger than the front wheels. It definitely gives this car a very unique stance. Then the last picture here shows us something pretty unique. The Cybercab does definitely have a steering wheel. This isn't the first time that we've seen this, but in the past it was a little bit unclear if this was something we thought we were seeing or if it was the reality. This time it really does appear that this car has a steering wheel for the driver in the car to be able to take over. This is very interesting since the whole point of the Cybercab is that it does not have a steering wheel or pedals. But this is likely just part of the testing process, so that if and when they need to take over, they can actually take over. From the outside, these look like complete Cybercabs, but we have no idea how complete they are on the interior, and how much they are really just prototypes versus fully functional vehicles that are almost ready for production. Obviously, by the time Tesla launches this vehicle for customers to buy, they don't want this to have a steering wheel, so it's there for testing purposes. At the same time, though, it's one of those things that gets a lot of people excited, because what if Tesla actually is working on a Cybercab with a steering wheel? That's a car that many people would love to see, and this could be a great way for Tesla to be testing this next generation platform that the Cybercab is built on for a different vehicle that's built on it. If Tesla were out there testing a different, smaller EV based on this platform that they were going to put a steering wheel on, then everyone would notice. We'd have photos of it, and we'd see this new car that Tesla is working on. But instead, they can show us the Cybercab, which is this vision of the future. Of course, they say that it's coming very soon, but many customers don't think it's coming as soon as Tesla has been promising. So if they do still need to ship a car with a steering wheel that's smaller and based on the Cybercab, they can be out basically testing most of that car's platform with the Cybercab without people really reading much into it. Still though, I'm guessing this is just a steering wheel for the driver to be able to take over while they're doing lots of internal testing of the Cybercab. I'm very excited to see where this project goes because Tesla has definitely set a strict timeline for themselves of June of this year. But in other Cybercab news, Tesla's VP of Engineering, Lars Moravy, gave us some insight into that vehicle's operation. Given the small size of the Cybercab and its battery pack, most people assumed that this was simply only for short trips. Of course, to start, it's only going to be in geo-fenced areas like in California and Austin, Texas. But in the future, Tesla actually does have ambitions for this car to be good on road trips. And part of the utility of the Cybercab is that it has an innovative wireless charging pad. The car can pull right up onto this charger pad with no extra hassle. As Lars said it, quote, "You saw it. We have wireless charging, right? It's coming for the Cybercab, and I think that's ultimately, if you're going to put a bunch of design effort into something, why put this really complex moving device to move a cable when you can have no moving parts?" Essentially, this will allow the Cybercab to operate entirely autonomously with the right infrastructure. No matter how long the trip is, it can make a charging stop, pull on to that charger itself, charge, and then take off from there. There's no need for someone to actually plug it in. So in the future, he said that this will enable the Cybercab to be able to drive great distances and then pull into specially equipped charging stations to charge up. The customer won't have to do that, and on long trips, this gives you a break for you to stretch your legs. I think overall that actually will be a pretty cool solution as a driver, and you really won't mind a little bit of a stop because you weren't paying attention at all. So the Cybercab is definitely the future, it's just a question of how long that is coming. But we have some updates about that robotaxi service itself this week. We know that Tesla wants to launch that in June in Austin, but California is another market they've specifically mentioned. And this week it was announced that Tesla officially filed an application seeking approval to offer ride-hailing services in California. Bloomberg said that Tesla applied for a transportation charter party carrier permit from the California Public Utilities Commission. This classification means that Tesla would own and control the entire fleet of vehicles, and they're applying for the same type of permit that Waymo uses. This is very big news because Waymo just recently announced that they are growing a lot. They're delivering up to 200,000 paid robotaxi rides every single week, and that's up from 150,000 a week in October. So things are definitely growing there, and Tesla appears to be taking about the same model as Waymo here. At the very least, they're applying for the same type of approval in California, and that's great to see. But many people think Tesla is pretty behind here when you compare it to Waymo. Of course, Tesla has long-term plans that they can enable this service anywhere, but they have to start small in geo-fenced areas. So how are they going to actually take on Waymo when it launches in a market that Waymo already exists in? Well, their plan is to offer this as a free service. According to the Washington Post, quote, Tesla submitted late last year an application to the California Public Utilities Commission for a permit to transport passengers in its vehicles. But then it goes on to say the additional permit, if granted, would allow people to summon the vehicles from Tesla free of charge. So for people out there who might say something like, I wouldn't drive in one of those cars if it was free. I wouldn't let that drive me if it was free. This is Tesla going, well, here it is, it's free. What about now? I also think this is a really great way for Tesla to get people to try this out en masse, and then see how great it really is, assuming it is once it delivers that technology. For those who are already a fan of Waymo and wonder, why would I try Tesla's version? I'm happy over here. Well, this one's free. Of course, we do not at all expect that it would be free forever. Tesla has to make money with this. But to get things going initially and get people excited to try this out, and to get Tesla to collect a lot of data on those initial rides, offering it for free is a pretty smart move. But what do you think about this move? Does it make sense for Tesla to offer robotaxi rides for free when it launches in June in Austin and hopefully later this year in California? Leave a comment below to let me know your thoughts. Next up today, Tesla is in the process of launching the new refreshed Model Y. They first announced that first deliveries have begun in China, and they had a large event for those first deliveries where the first batch of customers received their cars. Tesla is definitely ahead over in China compared to their other markets, and they started deliveries there first, but we're now seeing deliveries happening and getting scheduled across the world. The new Model Y is a very exciting product for Tesla, as it's their most popular car, and this new version fixes a lot of what people didn't entirely like about the old version, so it should do a lot to promote sales of that car. And plenty have already been spotted out on roads in China. Here are two right next to each other on the road. At the same time, we have news for Tesla over in China that's very interesting. Tesla was finally able to ship their full self-driving software over in China. That country had yet to have this software due to regulations and restrictions around acquiring training data. China didn't want them to use outside training data on the Chinese system, and Tesla also isn't allowed to bring data collected in China to other markets. So they basically had to develop their own system within that market itself. So the Chinese FSD system had to basically train from scratch, when on the other side of the world, Tesla has been collecting billions of miles from customer cars. Well, they were able to launch this, and Elon Musk clarified, "We just used publicly available video on the internet of roads and signs in China and used that to train in sim." This seems to be a testament to how good Tesla has built this system, but it's also very interesting. Is this something that shows how far Tesla is ahead in this world because they can simply train their current FSD system on video from another country to learn how to drive on those roads? Or does this show that basically anyone could do this same approach if they have the right computing power? Many people are always talking about how much real-world training data Tesla has and how that's their huge lead. But over in China, they basically had none, and here they did it in sim and launched this to a lot of customers. I'm very curious to see more of a full analysis of what that's like and see reviews come in of the Chinese FSD system as it develops from here. Most likely, the real-world training data is still what's going to get them ahead, because in China, even though they're launching it with this version 1 trained in sim, they're going to be collecting data from Chinese cars from there, and there's tons of people driving Teslas in China. With that said, this is launching under a different name than the United States. It's going by URAA, or Urban Road Autopilot Assistance. We're not entirely sure why this is the case, if it's marketing or legal reasons, but it is not called full self-driving. Based on people's initial reviews and videos, it does seem to be very impressive and capable, and more human-like than a lot of the other systems that Chinese automakers ship. In videos, we can also see the cars navigating extremely dense urban areas, and a lot of pedestrians and scooters and such. The on-screen visualizations of the surrounding areas appear to be very similar to the system in North America, so we'll see where things go from here. It's so interesting how different this system has to be over in that country, but it's exciting to see that Tesla has been able to launch it there. Even though Tesla is facing a lot of challenges in the United States right now, over in China, they're facing the most challenges because they actually have companies that compete when it comes to EVs and then full self-driving technology. So we'll see where this goes from here and if Tesla has a lead or is able to develop a lead into the future with their new URAA system. Then the question is, how much longer until we can see this system over in Europe? We know regulation is definitely a little more tough over in Europe, but if they were able to launch this system in China, hopefully they can do it in Europe sometime soon. That seems to be the last remaining step on the outline of their roadmap that they gave us back in September. Regarding the Model Y's rollout in other countries, though, VINs are being assigned in the United States, so customers should be getting their cars quite soon, and production does seem to be well underway. Some drone photos over at their Fremont factory showed about 150 of those refreshed Model Ys out on the lot. Next up today, while the Cybertruck remains one of the most polarizing vehicles ever to exist in, I would say, the entire world, it continues to receive accolades. Tesla just got a few awards from Motor Trend for the Best Tech of the Year awards, and the first one applies directly to the Cybertruck. For these awards, the publication compared 400 new vehicles that they've tested throughout the year on the criteria of innovation, user experience, usefulness, value, and safety. They gave out 10 awards this year in a bunch of different categories, and Tesla earned 2 of the top slots, along with Rivian, who also earned 2. The first award was for the most innovative chassis with their groundbreaking steer-by-wire system. People can say what they will about the Cybertruck, and I totally understand if it's not the look that you like. But once you actually drive one is when you can immediately see the appeal of this vehicle. The Cybertruck is a very, very big vehicle, and steer-by-wire paired with their rear-wheel steering makes it extremely maneuverable. I went from a Rivian R1T, which is a much smaller truck compared to the Cybertruck, to the Cybertruck, and the Cybertruck is much easier to drive. That's a testament to exactly what this system is delivering. It's one of the main reasons I love driving this car. Motor Trend said, quote, Tesla's ballistic pickup slides through a Costco parking lot or over the Angeles Crest Highway with grace, thanks to an innovative steering setup that replaces the intermediate shaft with a ribbon cable. It's very cool to see this system getting recognized because it's something that a lot of people still don't know that the Cybertruck delivers, and it's just so great when you experience it. With that said, the hope here is that Tesla will bring this to other cars in the near future. First up could be the Model S and X. In a recent interview with Lars Moravi, he specifically mentioned this possibly coming to future models, along with an updated 48-volt architecture. And the Model S and X are the next vehicles on the docket to get refreshed by Tesla. Lars confirmed this, and then we've seen various rumors that they're potentially already updating the assembly lines for these cars to be refreshed. The Model S and X are somewhat outdated compared to Tesla's other vehicles, and they need other ways to distinguish those cars from the updated Model 3 and Y. So steer-by-wire could be a great technology that they could bring to these cars that makes them that much more fun to drive, that much more maneuverable, and makes them stand out from their cheaper siblings. I think many people would also love to see what Tesla could deliver on something like the Model S Plaid added with steer-by-wire. The second award that Tesla received was specifically for their charging experience and the creation of NACS. Tesla initially created this and patented this technology for their own vehicles and superchargers, but they ended up opening this up so that other automakers could adapt it, and then they called it the North American Charging Standard. Overall, it's objectively true that this was a better technology than CCS. So it's great to see that this technology did win out, and we're now getting it on other vehicles like the Lucid Gravity. Eventually, all automakers will be changing to this standard in the United States. Essentially, Tesla got this award for how great this technology is and how much it's going to make charging better across the full industry. But speaking of Cybertruck features, one feature is confirmed to be coming soon, and that is adaptive headlights. This feature has definitely been around for a while on a lot of cars, and is on a lot of cars over in Europe, but it's only just arriving in North America on vehicles with LED matrix headlights. This automatically dims certain parts of the headlights so that you can keep your high beams on as much as possible and not blind oncoming traffic. It was assumed that this would be coming to Tesla's whole vehicle lineup, but Lars just fully confirmed on X that it would be coming first to the Cybertruck at least. This is a great feature to have, so it's very exciting to see here. It's something that should help with safety, and recently we heard that the Cybertruck got 5 stars overall, rated by NHTSA. That makes it the lowest probability of injury of any pickup truck ever tested, and it also has the lowest rollover risk of any pickup ever tested. Tesla recently shared a video of their own Cybertruck crash testing, and it shows just how important safety is to them. The video showcases just how they went about making this car so safe, and the Cybertruck's lead engineer described specifically how they made it so safe. The first thing that they did is lowered the crash structure in order to make this safe for the driver, but also other vehicles in case of a crash. When in a crash as well, as opposed to a normal structure that would typically bend under pressure, this cast structure actually fragments to absorb impact. They also did a ton of rollover tests, of course, which ended up to that lowest probability of rollover in the entire industry. And then Wes specifically expanded on this whole crash testing process on X. When the Cybertruck first was released, many people assumed it was not safe. And he said, quote, "All the armchair experts claimed the Cybertruck has no crumple zone, and I get it. The proportions seem impossible. It was a tough one, and there's a lot of engineering that went into it." He specifically breaks down how the truck was designed to crumple and absorb force during a collision, and then how their advanced models accurately reflect how the truck was going to react in a crash. In this video, we can really see the truck reacting almost exactly as their simulations predicted, so it's really incredible to see an inside look at their process here. Tesla always values safety in their design, and many people who know Tesla assumed that it would be no different for the Cybertruck. As it turns out, it is no different for the Cybertruck, and it's very safe. It's great to see Tesla's own official videos and then see a third-party test come out for that truck. That's all the latest Tesla news for today, so in the meantime, if you want to see my hands-on review with the brand new Model Y refresh, you can check out that video linked up here or in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.